little bit about some basic techniques, some things we stress with our guys, and I think some things that are helpful. So within the linebacker play in particular, these are the things we focus on, and really what we drill. And one thing that we try to develop the skill so that we can play at a high level. But for today, for time purposes, we'll just focus on pursuit and tracking. Okay, and so the things that when we talk about pursuit, the most important things we talk about are 4 to 6, which is the average length of a play. Being able to play at full speed from 4 to 6 seconds, and to be able to go from point A to point B with relentless effort, and that's a part of our culture and our team, and that's the starting point of pursuit. Now there's a couple things that we talk about within that. If you're the front side of the ball in our structure, you are what we call a compressed contained player. So you want to take the air out of the football, and you want to keep the ball on your inside pad tip. Okay, if the ball is going away from you, if you're on the backside, then the coaching point for the backside is put your belt buckle on the ball. Okay, so putting your belt buckle on the ball will obviously protect against any cutbacks that you may get. Okay, but that's how we coach, whatever direction the ball is, that's how we pursue. And we talk about being desperate, man. Like, there's nothing worse than seeing a defense that doesn't run hard, and there's nothing better than seeing the defense strain their ass off everybody, no matter if you're near the ball, away from the ball. And that's the challenge, like, every week that I have, every week can I get my guys there? And really, can you get them there on Tuesday? Because everybody, for the most part, is going to be excited Saturday, but after the first quarter, they're going to fall back to their habits. And we all know this. But these are the things that we harp on and try to ingrain in their brain. It's something that I think will make the difference in defensive football. I think that's the most important ingredient, because all the schemes work. We could all draw up schemes that work. We can show proof of those schemes working. The reason why some work and some don't have a lot to do, in my opinion, with, obviously you got to have talent, but you got to have guys that play with the desperation. You got to have guys that love playing the game as hard as they can with a great amount of skill. And these are the things we talk about. One thing that I picked up from Paul Pasqualoni, and a lot of what I talk about, you may hear guys like Paul Pasqualoni, you may hear Don Brown, you may hear Steve Adazio, some guys who really influenced me, Greg Madison. One thing that I always picked up from Paul Pasqualoni was upper body violence. And so this is what he would use in the NFL when he would look at and kind of, judge a guy's pursuit. So we all see the variations. Like, pursuit is tough because it's like, hey, are you really running hard? Like, I don't think you're running hard enough. A player says, I am running. So his way of kind of controlling that was upper body violence. And so upper body violence is driving your thumb from your cheek to your butt cheek, your cheek to your cheek. We talk that range of motion we call upper body violence. That's one thing we look for when we watch tape. And if a guy doesn't have that, then it's something for us, now we're able to address it and obviously to get more out of it. So you'll hear our guys say that quite often. And then the last piece is go to where the ball is, not where it's going. One thing that I think that's common when guys pursue the ball, especially when they're further away, oftentimes they go to a point past the football. And naturally what happens is you create that cutback seam. And so, again, just going to where it is and not where it's going has been helpful for our guys in what we do. And, again, we talked about it. This is just another visual of, how we're structured. So no matter the call, we'll always have an alley defender that'll be supported with a force defender. And basically those are two frontline guys. So, and this is consistent with our special teams. The first guy down, for instance, on punt coverage, he's the alley. The role of an alley fitter is to spit the ball outside, right? We got to send the ball out to our support. The force player, obviously, he's a frontline contained player of sort. He wants to compress contain. Each force player will be backed up by what we call contained player. The contained player, he's going to compress contain, keep the ball on his inside pad tip, but he has in time and distance to make it all whole. So if the ball was to get outside the force player, the contained player is that second-level guy that can obviously make everything whole. And so, so no matter what call we have, no matter what phase of the game, on any type of defensive snap, those are the things we talk about. And I think when you build it that way, I think when the guys have consistent terminology, consistent concept on special teams as they do on defense. I think, they're able to benefit from that. And then if the ball goes away from you, a cutback player, we want to put our belt buckle on the ball, and we want to keep the ball inside and in front. Okay, so that's just a general deal we do. So this is our pursuit drill. We'll do every Tuesday, during the season. We really don't go any more than 2 reps. But when we do it, we want to go, full out. Now you can do any variation that you want. We have our defensive line seat roll. We have our backers up, down, and we just have the secondary react. We'll give, the rabbit the football, and everybody has to tag off on the ball carrier. And so, I think this drill is number one for conditioning, but secondly, everybody's got to work their angle and they're working to a moving target. There's been times when you do pursuit drill, the cones and all this, that, and the other. I think it's better when you're able to have a moving target. Now, here's just a clip of what we want to promote. You look at this clip now, you got 3-4 guys, racing, trying to beat each other to the ball. And we promote this stuff, man. We champion it if it happens. Man, the next day we're making a big deal out of it, and we want to play with enthusiasm. We want the guys to feel fired up, and that's kind of the things that we promote in terms of pursuit, okay? All right, so let's talk tracking. So, like, when we talk tackling, I think tackling is very important, but I feel that tracking is I think that's the secret sauce, so to speak, man. I feel like if you're tracking, if your feet are right, for the most part, the tackle will be successful, man. You'll get the guy down. And so what we do, we break it down into 2 views. So when you're tracking the ball, you got to ask yourself, what's my view? There's 2 views you can have on the ball carrier. So the first view is a square view. If you get a square view, what we coach our player to do is to what we call shimmy. Now, I've heard it phrased as break down. We don't like to use the term break down just because a lot of times guys, what they do is they stop their feet. That's the last thing we want to do. We want to continue to close that gap. We want to close the distance, but now shimmy, now we want to get ourselves in a power position, and we want to take smaller steps. And we want to keep the leverage that we have as we approach the ball carrier. And because when we coach the guys, when the ball carrier is square to you, he's a 2-way go. So if he has a 2-way go, you want to put yourself in position to be able to react appropriately. Okay, so that's the coaching on a square view. If we get a side view, that's a side profile. We don't need to slow down now. We encourage the guys to accelerate, because it's at that point there is no cutback. And if they do cut back, they should cut back into a big hit. It should be an explosive hit. And those are the things that we break it down, and that view can change as the play goes. And so, and it's all about everything from the ground up, your feet and your eyes. We really stress that. And I found this to be, I found it to be very helpful, and you can integrate it in really any drill you do. Okay, so here's just a basic drill we do day one. We get guys in the off season, we hot their feet. This is just the linebackers perspective, but we do it all positions. We bring them downhill and we just work their posture. And really in these drills, I feel like, these drills, the key is to make sure that everything's deliberate. Like your eyes are down on the proper hip. When your near foot's in the ground, that's the foot nearest to the man, it should be right down his crotch. And you should shimmy, you should inch yourself forward toward the ball carrier. And we don't coach based on how athletic you are, I think will dictate how long you can go before you start to shimmy. Some guys are real athletic. They may not need to shimmy until they smell their breath. Some guys, if it's a bigger, slower guy, he may have to shimmy a little further away. I think it all comes down to knowing who you are as a player. But the key is you get yourself in position to perform at the junction point where that contact's going to occur. So we just working in different ways. Obviously this is for the post safeties. A lot of times those guys got to be, if you're looking for a personnel type to be a post safety, it's that accountable guy, that guy who's first in the sprints, that guy who's always on time. Because that guy, a lot of times, you don't have to be a great player. You just got to be a really good, sound tackler. So we just working in different ways. On our bag drill circuit, we integrated in every drill. So this is what we call the X drill. It's just downhill bags in which they read the ball carrier. So right here's the ball carrier. If he goes across the bags, then you go downhill without a giddy up. Your eyes are up, and then you want to finish on the view you get. So if you finish, if the ball carrier is square, we should see a near foot shimmy, and we should see you get out. If the ball carrier goes back across, all right, then we want to redirect without putting our eyes down. We want to keep our pads down, and then we want to accelerate. If we get a side view, we want to see the guy accelerate off his back hip and roll his hips. Okay, so that's another way we work tracking. I'm sure we all know this drill. We call it the side square view drill. But again, this whole drill is all about closing the gap, and it's all about reacting to the picture that you see. If you see a side view, we want to burst downhill. If they give us a square view, we want to shimmy, but the whole time we close the distance. It's a great off-season drill. It's a great I think it's a great in-season drill as well at times. But again, these are the type of things that I think really impact the tackle. Here's another way we work side view. Okay, we call it the hawk tackle. We just got a tackle ring. You can do it with bodies. But again, we want to accelerate. And the key is when you make contact in the side view, all right, you want to put that near foot in the ground, but you want to explode off your toes. You want to explode off the toes, and you want to go out, not up. Okay, and the lower the target, the better. And when you make contact, you want to squeeze the life out of it as you go through it. And this drill is good. Obviously, it's low impact, and it's one thing we do about twice a week. And then we have a sideline tackle drill, closing to a ball carrier, and again, just reacting to the view, using the sideline, and again, exploding off. And again, this is all footwork drill. To me, this is all tracking. Okay, this is a 6-cone tackle drill, we call it. So we put 6 cones down. We have two backers or 2 defenders, and we have 1 ball carrier. That ball carrier can go around any cone he would like. Both the defenders go to their side, okay, of the box. They put their foot down in the ground, and then they locate and they track the ball carrier. So again, this is a good off-season conditioning drill to do that I think is very helpful because it's random, it's variable. So again, we want to see guys deliberate with their eyes. We want to see them track. We want to see them close. Obviously, no collisions. Okay, and what we tell anytime we're for the most part in our coverage, we're our zone coverage, when we work our 3D zone, we always want to work a compression tackle. So this drill kind of does a little bit of both. And, anytime we say anytime the defender, goes past my leverage, then we now can use the sideline. And if we do use the sideline, the defender who's in the other defender in the vice, he becomes the overlap player. Okay, so this is just a visual of that. And so here's a couple clips just to show what we're talking about with the time I have, but these are the things we talk about here and we coach. So like right now, this is a helmet practice, but we still get an opportunity to work tackling. To me, this is as valuable as anything. I really like 32, Tough Borland, trying to get his near foot in the ground and shimmy. And you got both guys working off the hip of the ball carrier. Okay. This one here is Pete Warner. Okay. He reacts to the view, okay? And everything's explosive because everything from the ground up, he's able to get his foot in the ground. He's able to adjust his tracking, and he's able to put his whole body on the ball carrier. Again, the picture changes. We get our near foot in the ground. Obviously, I love to see Malik drive off his, keep his feet in the ground and drive. But in terms of the contact and him getting himself in that square view profile, we see how it's helpful. And it shows up all over the place. It's a really good job of Baron Browning here and, closing to the quarterback, but adjusting his feet to the quarterback. And again, a lot of times these open field tackles are just made just by simply tracking, making sure you got your feet underneath you. Okay? Big Ten championship game. So if we watch the post safety here, excuse me, I don't have the annotations on these things, but here's a good look at a side view. What should happen on a side view right here? Okay, so if you have a side profile, side view, get your belt buckle on the ball, accelerate. Okay, and if he does cut back, it should be an explosive hit, Again, good look at Baron Browning getting his feet under control, getting himself in good posture, and securing the tackle. I think Baron does a really good job here getting himself back under. And again, it's just a constant. Again, it's something we work on a lot. And it's been very helpful for us and just the way we communicated. I think it helps get the results that you need. And obviously, I think tackling as a whole is always hard to rep because, you never have an opportunity to go full contact oftentimes. So however, I think when you work tackling, you are working tackling. So it's been very helpful. So I don't have a graphic with my info on it, fellas, but if you do need to get a hold of me, Coach, I could shoot you a text and maybe you can share it. But
sure thing, man. Yeah.
Appreciate you guys and appreciate your time, man.
Hey, all right. So you got one question in the chat here. So often are you repping hand usage with your linebackers for block defeat? How do you go about doing this? And then he asked, is it called the difference drill?
Yeah, we do it every day. And so how we work it, I can pull up. We work it in different ways. The two ways, so when we use our hands, we talk hands and block destructions, we kind of break it down into two different phases, in phase and out of phase. And so when the ball carrier is relatively close to the blocker, we consider that to be in phase. When you're in phase, when the ball is in phase with the blocker, we want to work on going through the guy. So, yeah, we talk about difference at that point. But what we communicate, the word we use is stun. You want to stun the blocker. And it's more than just being a big guy and pushing a guy. Like there's technique in it that we work every day. We work that every block destruction is really, I feel, the difference between a really good player and the elite players. And this concept of phase, I think, is valuable because there's a time when you need to go through a guy, but there's a time when you need to go around him. And in either case, you're attacking him. So when we talk about in phase, I'm attacking the guy down the middle, but I'm also playing to my leverage. But my hands will allow me to play either side of the block. If I'm slipping a guy, if he's out of phase, what we're saying is there's enough time and distance for me to go around this guy and still finish on the ball. I'm still attacking him. Now I'm just attacking his outside edge. And we work in hands and feet together. We spend a lot of time on this. I think this is something, man, that really, especially we talk middle close, we're talking on that stuff. This is really where you've got to develop and you got to really work. In stun, we talk about stunning. These are the key things we work and we talk about. Number one is power foot in the ground. So anytime you're about to make contact with a blocker, okay, and you're the defender. Okay, we talk about everything is gained from the ground up. So you've got to get your power foot in the ground. That's your near foot to the man you're going against. You got to get it in the ground so we can get contact balance. From there, we talk about the hairline below the chin. So the hairline below the chin will establish vertical leverage. So to win a one-on-one, you've got to be in the power position. You've got to get vertical leverage. And so if you're going against 6'8", or you're going against a guy that's 5'8", it doesn't matter. Your hairline's got to get under his chin. And the lower you got to go, you've got to be able to get your hips to sink. You've got to work that because that's critical. The third thing we talk about is our elbows together. And the elbows together give us horizontal leverage. Horizontal leverage is getting our hands inside of his. Okay, so we want to get our hands inside so now we can get off of him. If our hands are outside, his hands are inside, now we can't get off the block. And the fourth thing we talk about is thumbs up. So the reason we encourage thumbs up and we promote thumbs up is because when your thumb is up, you're using the heel of your hand, which is the most forceful part of your hand. So we want to cause the most violence as we can, the most power as we can. We generate the most power. And so we talk about thumbs up. And the last piece is speed the lock. Now this speed the lock to me is it's the gasoline in the car. Like if you have speed the lock, you will generate enough explosiveness to get that extension that you want. What a lot of guys do when I get like young guys in, what they commonly do is they do all that stuff, but they place their hands on the guy. And what did the guy do? What do? They grab you and they hold you. And I liken it to a punch. If you watch boxing, there's a sudden speed to lock that generates that velocity that you need. When you use your hands, you're doing the exact same thing. And when you do it, when it all comes together, it's very effective. And so we drill it in a progression, just like I'm sure all of you do. We start, just the contact, 6-point contact. And this is the stun sled. We call it the stun sled. And this one here, you just get a chance to see everything in play, what we're talking about. So we'll always have leverage one side of the block. But we talk about hairline below the chin, elbows together, thumbs up, power foot in the ground, speed the lock. All of it comes together. And if you can get that technique down, I feel like the guys become a lot more physical, a lot more aggressive, and they make a lot more plays. And I think it has more to do with the technique than it does the weight or whatever. I'm just telling you, like, that's the same. Those things, if you use your hands and you work them, it's just repetition. If you keep working them, they'll be effective with their hands. And when it goes well, when it goes right, when guys are able to use their hands effectively, man, we just promote the fundamentals of it. And so that's how we address in phase, going through guys. And then we talk out of phase. We talk about slipping the blocker. First thing we talk about is close the distance. Now we want to attack half the man, and then we want to slip. And slip engages your feet and your hands together. Once you slip the blocker, then you want to stack them. Okay, and so these are 3 different types of slips that we work: tight arm over, club rip, dip and drive. So real quick here, because I'm on the clock, I want to get out of here. For the next person, I hate to be long, but here's an arm over. This is what we talk about, arm over. All right, it's club with your outside arm, and when you go over top with the inside arm, you want to reach through as if you're taking something out of somebody's pocket. What we all do when we think of swim move, when we think arm over, we think this. We don't want to expose our chest. We want to reach through. We want to keep our chest protected, and we also want to get our hip through, and then we want to finish obviously with the shimmy. So we just work in different ways. And the best thing about slipping a block is it doesn't matter what leverage if they go over top, you go underneath. If they're underneath, you go over top. You take what they're giving you, you take the best leverage and you slip and you stack them, and because you have time and distance to go around them at that point. So this is kind of what we do every day. We'll work some variation of it. Slipping, we'll work variations of stun every day. Just like we work footwork every day, and we may have 10 minutes, we're going to work the hell out of this stuff because it takes repetitions. And to me, this is, again, the hands can help an average player become a lot better. Like, this is 44. He's our, he's a freshman walk-on from Piqua, Ohio. Unbelievable kid, very hard-working kid, tough kid. But here's a good example of him working the technique. This is something that he's worked on. He's going against a 5-star offensive tackle, and he's able to slip them with ease and finish on the ball because, again, it's the skill. It's the one thing we talk about. And every dog has his day. But I'll tell you, we really make a big deal out of that because, how do you finish on the ball? Like, everybody on defense is responsible to finish on the ball. How do we do it? You can't just run to most of the times. If you're running to the ball unimpeded, that's a rare case. Most of the time, you got somebody in your way. And so how do you deal with it? That's the skill we talk about. And so to answer your question, we spit. Those are some of the things we do when we talk about block destruction and using our hands. And we work it all the time because it takes a lot of reps to get pretty good at it. So if we have more time, we could even talk even more. But.
Perfect. Great stuff, Coach. That was awesome.
Okay, awesome, man. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming.